Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the Crossbowman. The Crossbowman is the newest addition to Wartales, and he's the first that redefines the attack pattern or like the overall idea of basic attack and special abilities. Very unique, very interesting. So, to understand the changes or the mechanics behind the Crossbowman, we first have to look at the regular unit, like this Swordsman. Every other class, like the swordsman and every other except the crossbowman, are defined by the weapon they use and the subclass you choose for your skill tree. For example, I use this sword, which gives me, well, damage and 2 Valor points when I kill somebody. And this is basically the basic attack. The basic attack equals the weapon. If I would choose another weapon, like this one, I would have a different kind of basic attack. And if I have no weapon, I just have the fist. That's the whole idea of the basic attack slot. So we have a basic attack slot and it depends on this kind of weapon here. Okay, so now about the special ability from the subclass. Every character in Wartales can choose from a variety of subclasses. And depending on your choosing, you have an offense or defense ability. Sometimes you can deal damage with it, sometimes you just have an overall buff to something. But it's a special ability. And some classes even get another special abilities from the skill tree you can choose from. But the most important part is that every slot for every basic ability or special ability, even special abilities you learn from books like the Ref or the First Aid, you can only use once. And that's why the crossbowman is very interesting. Because the crossbowman doesn't have a basic ability slot. He only has a special ability slot. And the special ability slot is defined by the class. So it doesn't matter which crossbow you equip, because you always have the same special attack. Doesn't matter the crossbow, you can choose whatever crossbow you want, you always have the attack of your class, the subclass you choose. So, how do you compensate the missing basic attack, you may ask? Well, the crossbowman introduced a new mechanic, which is called the reload or loaded mechanic. Basically, it means that you can attack with your special subclass special attack. You can attack for each time you reload your weapon. You start the combat with a loaded weapon, you shoot, and now you're empty. You have to reload. So the question is, how do you reload? Well, the weapon itself, the weapon you're choosing, has a kind of condition you have to meet to reload the weapon. The easiest way to reload the weapon are from the craftable crossbows like the Acadian Steel one, which just says, well, gains loaded, and you spend 1 Valor point to reload the weapon, and now you can shoot again. So you basically can shoot twice. Some other weapons, like the legendary ones, for example this one reloads the first time we shoot a unit that is 8 meters or even further away from us. We have another legendary crossbow that reloads whenever we shoot an enemy that hasn't acted yet. So there are different kinds of abilities that reload your weapon. And this one is key because the crossbowman can now attack as much as we reload. So if we have a way to cheat and gain as much reload as we possibly can, we can, well, also attack as much as we want. And that's why I created this build. So this build is basically only one specific perk that's very interesting, and this is this one. This perk allows us to reload twice whenever we deal an attack of opportunity. And you know what? my favorite ham stamp is the enhanced visibility. So whenever we are engaged by an enemy, we perform an attack of opportunity. That means every time an opponent attacks our crossbowman in the opponent's turn, we attack of opportunity once, which trigger this perk. We reload, we shoot, we reload. So we stack 2 reloads for every attack of opportunity. And for example, if we now, well, get engaged 5 times, we stacked up 10 reload stacks. And now it's our turn, and we can use these 10 reload stacks to attack 10 times. And also an additional time because we have the special ability from the crossbow, which reloads itself on a special condition. That's the whole game plan here. Yeah, that's the combo. This perk with enhanced visibility. That's all. Now, there's some difficulties we have to overcome. First, we die pretty easily because we have access to the light armor and the medium armor, but the medium armor classes are the engineer and the cannoneer. They are not really what we want because the engineer can only fire once each round, and if we stack a lot of reload, well, and we can't use these reloads, we don't want that. So the other option would be the cannoneer to be more tanky, but the whole setup doesn't really make sense in our build because in this kind of solo testing, we have no ally we can protect. So that's why I choose well Gunner, because we have to choose light armor because the medium armor ones doesn't really help us at all. And the Gunner is just the best light armor version for this build because we can get guaranteed critical hits. And we can attack multiple times, and attacking multiple times with one special ability is great if we use oils, which trigger for each attack. This will come in handy later, I will explain that one. So if we only can use light armor, well, how can we be tanky? Well, we use the Lone Wolf, which gives us 10% damage reduction and also 10% damage. This one is very important, and we use the weapon swap because we use a weapon that uses the shielding oil to gain us another 10%. This one we use in our turn, and when we switch to the enemy turn, we switch the weapon to the other one. So we have the conversion oil and the exhaustion oil because we take a lot of damage and we need life gain to, well, we gain our life. And the conversion oil converts 20% of the damage we deal into health. And when we crit with like 1,000 damage, we gain 200 over 200 health back, and we only have 150. So we basically full heal every time when this oil effect triggers, and that's the reason why we also use the conversion oil belt gear to guarantee that every hit heals us up to the full or the maximum amount of health. The exhaustion oil just prevents us from dying because we hit the opponents with them with this oil effect, and the exhaustion oil has the effect that it applies dazed, and a dazed unit deals no damage with attack of opportunities, which the guards do very frequently. So this one is also very important to don't die. And since we attack multiple times, the 50% is basically also guaranteed. Valorous Victory, obviously, because why not? The other one, well, we have doesn't really make any sense. So Valorous Victory is the best one. And we have the Reactive Grip, which is just another layer of protection. We gain basically, well, it's like the infantryman. We have a not a cone, but we have a circle around us, and the first enemy who enters the zone, the death zone, will be attacked by an attack of opportunity, and we reload, which gives us another stack of reload, and also another trigger of this one, which gives us another 2 reloads. we will stack a lot of reloads. You probably can imagine now. For the weapons, yeah, I already told you. So the helm is obviously something with the enhanced visibility. I choose this helm because it also gives range, and we want range. And the looter's jacket just gives critical hits, and my layers also increase dexterity and critical hit because I want to reach 100%. It's not really necessary because the gunner guarantees already your crits, but well, I I like to see 100% here, and maybe I want to change a build, and I really need 100%. For the job, we actually go for the cook because the cook gives us the most constitution, and constitution gives us health. Constitution itself is just the worst like attribute point overall. You probably never want to pick this because a tank is tanky because of its guard and its armor, not because you have much health. So the reason why I choose the cook is because we don't have guard, we don't have armor, so we have to tank anyways with our health. We need more health, but I don't want to spend my level up points into constitution, and that's why I choose the cook to compensate a little bit, to be a little bit slightly more tanky without spending any points into it. And luckily, my recruit has the leader stat, which gives 30% in any stat. Well, strength, dexterity, and constitution. That's why the leader also gives me 18 points in constitution. And if I use a food that also buffed this one by like 20%, it would be another 15 points in constitution. But currently, for my experiment, I only use the basic one that increased crit and strength and movement, critical hit chance, dexterity, and gives preparedness and rage. So 50% damage stacking with rage and 1% damage for attack of opportunities each time we deal an attack of opportunity. This is just the basic scaling food I use when I try to, well, kill as many guards as possible. Obviously, I use the camp gear to give a little bit more damage for the first attack, a little bit of damage reduction for the first attack. Yeah, some willpower, some inspiration, and also I I choose him to be equipped to the target, which gives deftness. It's basically a free aim. Uh, yeah, it's not really strong, but well, better than nothing. I want to stack all the buffs I can get, and that's the build. Okay, let's look at the combat. So we really need to kill the enemy crossbowmen and bowmans or every ranged unit first. And that's why I attack here the crossbowman. And if you look at the character, or my character, you see that I gain the shielding oil. Well, it was a 50-50, but we can attack an additional time because our crossbow allows us to attack, well, reloads itself when we attack an 8-meter target or further away target. So we kill the spearman and we get the shield oil again. It was basically 2 times a 50-50. In theory, it would be guaranteed, but well, that's just theory. And now we want to position ourselves that we don't get hit by the enemy bowmans or crossbowmans. And that's why I try to go like far away as possible. And when we end our turn, we get this red barrier. And this one is like the infantryman ability with a cone just as a circle. So the first enemy who's entering this zone, like this guy, gets shot. And we gain a loaded, shoot again, and another loaded. So this is the perk I was talking about. Whenever we deal an attack of opportunity, we reload 2 times. So with the first ability, we have a guaranteed zone, and now we get the guaranteed attack of opportunity from our helm stamp, from the enhanced visibility, which is also an attack of opportunity, so we reload twice. We now stacked 3 reloads. So in our next turn, we theoretically can attack 3 times, or even 4 times, because the first time we attack, we reload the weapon also with the effect from the weapon. So the main idea is that we try to stack as much like loaded stacks. So we get the attack of opportunity from the helm stamp, the poor ranger dies, and we get 2 loaded stacks. And currently we have armor, but if we are out of armor, we have the guaranteed life gain. And well, as long as we don't die from enemy bowman or crossbowman, we are fine because every melee attack we can counter heal. Only range attacks are very deadly to us because, well, if they stack like 2 or 3 melee ranged attacks, we die. See? So this spearman attacks us from afar, and we don't have a way to counter heal it or deal an attack of opportunity because attack of opportunity is all only when we are engaged, which is like in melee range. Okay, so in our turn, we now have stacked up some serious amounts of reload. Well, the enemy reinforcements are also stacked up, which is nice. And when we see on the screen, we have like 8 shots, 8 stacks. And when we kill the first one, we, well, heal ourselves and gain another reload from the weapon. And then we switch to our second weapon. Because we want to refresh our shielding buff. And also we have the explosion oil. You can see the effect of the explosion oil also in this fight, because it has a 50% chance to deal damage to the adjacent targets. So see, these crossbowmen took damage from the explosion oil. So that's almost like 75% of its health pool just from the explosion oil. So when we now shoot the guy in the middle, the other guy dies from the explosion oil. This one dies from the shot itself, and the other one just from the explosion oil. And we have still 3 attacks left. You can see the number of attacks from the 2 crossed arrows in the action bar, well, where all the buffs are listed, between the rage and the attack of opportunity boost. And you really want to focus down the crossbowmans first, because if every crossbowman is dead and every spearman is dead, you're basically, well, untouchable. Because every opponent that faces you in direct combat will die from the attack of opportunity. Yeah, and you can't just counter heal the damage because they can't deal 150 damage in one shot, and you just kill them. Actually, you want to be attacked because every time you are attacked, you stack two times the loaded ability. Yeah, and that's basically all. I switch between these weapons because I want to refresh the shielding oil. Okay, for the grand finale, we just stacked up enough to, well, to kill everybody that is left. And that's the satisfying part of this build. Just stacking up all these reloads and just shoot all the enemies like a Gatling gunner. These poor guards, they cry. So much damage. And in theory, you could kill infinite amount of enemies. Well, you have to dodge all the bowman and crossbowman and so on. But that's the build. Have fun and see you in the next one.